Okay, so good afternoon, guys. So our next topic will be understanding ways to collect data. It's supposed to be na-record ko na tong lesson na to, pero I don't have the recording yet. So I'll just do this again. And ito yung next topic natin. So if you would remember, yung last topic natin was about measure of central location, and it asks you to look for data, 1 month data actually on the COVID cases in the Philippines. So what you did was actually part of this lesson, which is how are you going to collect your data? So I've tried asking you to collect data in a certain manner, and then that's actually one of the ways to collect this data. So as a preparation for this topic, that's what I asked you to do. Okay, so what are the objectives? So first is you will try to identify data collection techniques and recognize their uses and limitations. And then afterwards, we'll focus on the next one of the important ways on how you collect data is by the use of your questionnaire. Okay. Okay, so what are the these data collection techniques? So of course, when we collect your data, we of course systematically collect information from our objects of study. So ano yung ginagawa natin is we try to identify first, and then we try to collect this data. And then of course this data is to be collected from whichever objects of our study. And then if data are collected indiscriminately, it will be difficult to answer our research question in a conclusive way. So, ibig sabihin, if you try to collect this data na walang ganong sistema, tayo din ang mahihirapan later. Okay, so these are the data collection techniques that you can actually use. First is using available information. That's what you did last time during your group work, wherein you identify or found out this data using available information, specifically from the data that you collected from the DOH website. So using this available information, you were able to collect your desired data. And then observation experimentation. Usually this is done if you are to collect data using observation or experimentation. So when you try to perform an experiment and then you collect this data from that activity, then that's actually part of the data collection technique. And then by observation, we have a few types that we try to expand on this data. Interview, or by using face-to-face, or in this case, since we are on the pandemic, we can actually use online interviews. And then by administering written questionnaires on Google Forms. So this will be our focus for this afternoon's lecture. Okay, and then we also use focus group discussions. Pero dahil again, we are in this kind of situation, we can try to avoid this, but again, you can still do this by performing just like what we are doing. We are doing group discussions in this case by using Zoom or any other online platform. Okay, so using available information, ang kagandahan dito, sabi dito, napakadami, di ba? If you would remember, all the data that I asked you to do, I limited it to 1 month only kasi napakarami kung I will ask you to do all of those. So, sabi dito, although it may not have been analyzed or published, but in this case, there are a lot of discussions already in the data that I asked you to do, but I asked you to still analyze it a little bit, and then I asked you to describe your data. Okay, so sa observation naman and experimentation, this involves either we have what we call participant observation. In other words, kasama yung nangolekta ng data doon sa sitwasyon, or meron din tayo na non-participant observation na hindi ka kasama. So usually, the non-participant observation, this is usually done during experimentation, wherein you don't need to be in that in the experiment, but you just observe from the outside. Okay, so interview, you know this, you have we just do collecting data by just asking or doing oral question to our respondents, either individually or as a group. Okay, so this one can be you can collect the data by recording, of course, by writing it down or by recording it. So let's focus on the next one, which is actually what you are to do later on. Yung next na activity na gagawin is you are to make a questionnaire. You'll try to collect your data using a questionnaire. In other words, first is you have to create a questionnaire. Pwede siyang, you can consider a questionnaire wherein you are to perform an interview or you are to perform a survey. Siguro I would later, siguro I'll just ask you to make a survey questionnaire and then perform that also later. Okay, so we have what we call exploratory questionnaires, wherein this is you can consider this as qualitative. So ito usually ginagamit ito kapag nag-conduct ka ng interview. Kasi sabi dito, you cannot statistically evaluate them. So and they are open-ended questions. So in other words, usually qualitative ito. So parang you'll just analyze it as is kung ano yung makuha yung data from the responses of your respondents. You have formal standardized questionnaires. This is to test and quantify hypotheses, and the data is to be analyzed statistically. So usually ito yung mga ginagamit kapag we want to create questionnaires na pwede natin i-test statistically. So we call it formal standardized questionnaires. Okay, so we have prescribed wording and order of these questions, and then to ensure that each respondent receives the same stimuli. So parang, di ba, pag nagsisend tayo ng questionnaire, or if you were able to experience being asked to answer a questionnaire, so parang wala kang idea on what to feel. So parang ganun din ang pan dito. All the respondents have the same stimulus dapat na matanggap. Hindi, no, isa bibigyan mo ng matinding explanation, yung isa hindi. They have to have the same and should receive the same stimuli or stimulus. So, sabi dito, prescribed definitions or explanations for each question, just like what I've mentioned. So, meron ka ng fixed na parang instructions. And this is to ensure interviewers handle questions consistently and can address questions for clarification if they occur. So dapat alam nyo rin kung ano yung tinatanong nyo, kasi kung kunwari kung may nagtanong regarding your question, you can easily describe or explain your questions, what it is about. Okay, so prescribed response format to enable rapid completion of the questionnaire during the interviewing process. Okay, so ganun pa rin. So you have to have a certain system that you will follow so that hindi maging problema yung flow ng interview or nung pagkuha niyo ng data. Okay, so in addition, sabi dito, one of the qualities of a good questionnaire is that it should be a well-designed questionnaire. Then it should answer the research objectives. So kung ano yung kailangan yung malaman, yun lang dapat ang nakalagay dun sa questionnaire nyo. Dapat you have to have an alignment of your questions to your objectives.
Sir, excuse po.
Yes, ma'am.
Sabog daw po yung speaker nyo po.
Speaker ko, speaker nyo.
Audio na po.
Yung audio ko?
Yes po.
Ano ba yun? Nanina pa ako nagsasalita. Hindi nyo sinasabi. What do you mean sabog? Hindi nyo ako naiintindihan?
Garal.
Hindi po.
Maybe it's kanina pa ba yun or ngayon lang?
From the start po.
Ano ba yan? Kanina pa ako nagdadaldal. Wala man lang kayong sinasabi.
Nag-survey pa po kami kung sabog din po sa kanila.
Nag-chat po si Heidi.
Hindi ko kasi nakikita kasi wala namang chat. Ayun, merong isa. Anyway. Sige, I'll try to put this. I'll check if this will work. Kanina nag-mic test ako, bakit hindi kayo sama ng sinabi ko. Sige nga, magsalita nga kayo.
Hello.
Hi!
Mas okay na ba?
Rar.
Okay na ba?
Yan po, okay na.
Okay na, sir.
Oh, sige,
Garalgal
ito
po
na.
kasi kanina.
Ay nako, ang dahil ko na sinabi.
Pero
na
naintindihan naman po. Garalgal lang po.
Sure ah. Okay, sige, let's just continue. Yung mga una ko naman lang naman yun eh. Ito yung actually importante. Kasi ito yung gagawin nyo later on. How to make a questionnaire. Okay, so let me continue. So these are the qualities of a good questionnaire. So again, the first one is you have to have a well-designed questionnaire that should answer the research objectives or the objectives of your work, for example. So kapag naggagawa tayo ng questionnaire, dapat sinabi ko kanina na meron dapat alignment. In other words, yung questionnaire nyo dapat align kung ano yung kailangan yung itanong. As much as possible siguro avoid natin yung paligoy-ligoy na tanong kasi or unless it's called for in your questionnaire na kunwari meron ka pang mga introduction, but as much as possible if you want to ask something, ask it directly. Now, of course, it should be as tawag nito yung parang yung tawag, huwag naman yung masyadong bastos na diretso agad, lalo kapag ang kinukuhanan nating data are mga sensitive issues or sensitive people na baka masampal tayo kapag bigla nating tinanong kung ano yung ganun. At siyempre may respect pa din. Number 2, it should obtain the most accurate and complete information. So just like so there's a number 1, aside from making it a well-designed, will actually give you also the most accurate and complete information. So kapag maganda kasi yung ginawa nating questionnaire, of course, the data that we will be getting will actually be most accurate and complete. The respondents fully understands the questions and are not likely to refuse to answer or lie to the interviewer or try to conceal their attitudes. Siyempre, kasi kung nagawa tayo ng questionnaire tapos parang nakakayang sagutin siya, baka mahirapan tayong makakuha ng maayos na data. So dapat as much as possible, naiintindihan nila. So kung kailangan nilang nyo sabihin na ito ay for na may confidentiality yung mga respondents at hindi natin ipapaalam sa ibang tao kung sino sila, sabihin natin para siguradong hindi sila magsisinungaling sa kung ano yung kailangan nilang sabihin o anong kailangan nating makuha ng data. Kasi minsan kapag ganun, pag walang confidentiality, kahit ikaw mahihiya kang sagutin kung ano yung bakal mo, may makaka-apekto siya sa isang sistema or sa isang tao, sa inyong community. And then are organized and worded to encourage respondents to provide accurate, unbiased, and complete information. Just like number 3, dapat yung pagkakasulat natin sa kanila ay hindi magbibigay ng confusion din sa mga respondents natin. So dapat madali nilang maintindihan at makakapagpa-encourage sa mga respondents mo na magbigay ng tama at kompletong impormasyon. A well-designed questionnaire should make it easy for respondents to give necessary information. I've experienced before answering a survey question na parang, alam mo yung parang nakakapagod kasi parang minsan na sobrang haba o kaya ang dami-dami mong binabasa, hindi mo maintindihan yung tanong. minsan pag ganun, siyempre kung ikaw hindi mo maintindihan yung tanong, hindi ka makakapagbigay ng maayos na sagot, di ba? So, dapat unang-una, dapat maayos yung naipapahiwatig mo sa mga respondents mo. And then it would keep the interviewer brief and to the point and be so arranged that the respondent or respondents remain interested throughout the interview or the survey. Kasi just like I mentioned, dapat maayos yung pagkakagawa natin in such a way na matatapos nila yon. Kung hindi, baka kulangin tayo sa data na makuha, na data na kailangan natin sa collection natin. Okay, so in making a questionnaire, these are the steps that you can follow. Actually, I took this from the internet. I wish I will cite later. So first is we decide the information required. So ano yung kailangan nating makuha? Okay, next is kailangan nating ma-identify kung sino o kung saan tayo kukuha ng data or yung mga tinatawag nating respondents. Okay, next, we choose the method of reaching your target. So your target respondent. So you had your statistics before, you had your sampling techniques, you can identify which sampling technique you are going to use so that you can identify your respondents properly. And decide on the question content, ano yung mga gusto nyo itanong, and then develop the question wording. So itong wording na ito, importante ito. Dapat as much as possible, we use simple words as possible, as the simplest words as possible. Kasi kapag yung ginamit natin medyo mahirap intindihin o kaya ibang lingwahe, baka hindi maintindihan ng mga tawag nito ng ating sini-survey o yung tinatanong. So dapat yung naiintindihan nila agad. Next is we put questions into meaningful order and format. So dapat yung biglang baka unang itanong natin yung medyo mellow muna hanggang sa medyo heavy na yung tanong, pwedeng ganon. Or yung pinaka-importante yung kailangan makuha, pwedeng unahin agad para sigurado makuha nyo yung data. At saka yung mga supporting questions yun nandun lang sa mga dulo. Dapat merong order at saka may format na maayos. Hindi yung basta bigla ka magdatanong sa ganito tapos dilipat na lang sa iba tapos and so on. Parang para sa magsasagot, parang masyadong magulo din. So we check the length of the questionnaire. So as much as possible, again, we mentioned a while ago, we make it as brief as possible para hindi din nakaka-istorbo sa mga respondents natin. Make it as the shortest possible. And then we pre-test the questionnaire. In other words, we try to check if there would be any problem with the questionnaire. Baka yung wording na ginamit ay medyo bastos or dapat formal yung pagkakastate. And then of course, we now develop the final survey or the questionnaire that we intend to use. So ito yung kailangan niyong gawin later on, and then you will try to make a questionnaire of later. We can decide on the topic that we will use. Okay, so but before that, let us discuss properties of closed questions. Ito yung ginagamit kapag yung mga sa survey form. Okay, sabi dito, it provides respondents with an easy method of indicating his answer. Yung mga click-click lang. Kaya hindi niya kailangang mag-sulat or mag-explain dun sa sagot nila. Kasi pag mga explanation type, parang ang hirap sagutan yun sa mga ganun. Unless it's actually an interview. It prompts respondents that the question has to rely less on memory in answering a question. Kunwari, depende na lang usually ng mga post-test questions, mga ganon, or sa sa mga questionnaire, mga survey form. Hindi kailangang mag-isip ng mga malalalim para sagutan yung mga tanong. Okay, so this one can easily be classified. So para madaling ma-analyze, you can actually use statistical method to analyze this later. And then, sabi dito, it permits the respondent to specify answer categories most suitable for their purposes. So pwede mong sabihin kung ano yung mga kailangan nyo doon, para doon sa questions na yun or sa mga questionnaire na yun. And para din masabi din natin sa mga respondents kung ano yung mga kailangan natin makuha sa kanila. Okay, do not allow the respondent opportunity to give a different response to those suggested. So, minsan kasi kapag nagbigay tayo ng survey, pag open-ended question siya, ang daming pwede nilang sagutin. So, baka hindi parang mahirap na siyang i-analyze later on. So, mas maganda, meron lang tayong specific mga responses na they will just thought or think about, doon na natin makukuha yung kailangan nating data. Okay, so just answers that response may not have considered before. So pwedeng using our, maybe nagkaroon tayo ng research on a certain topic, tapos ito rin yung mga pwedeng mga sagot. Baka yung iba hindi nila alam yun, baka kung nga, pwede pala to. So they can actually consider that answer. Okay, so open-end questions naman, halos kabaliktaran lang sa nung kanina. Dito naman, kanina fixed lang yung pwedeng isagot. Ito, they can allow respondents to answer in these own words. Kung gusto nilang magbigay ng mga sagot, they can actually do that. Ito yung nagbibigay daw ng pinaka-importanting bagay or responses that will come from the respondents. Hindi siya nagbibigay ng parang hindi niya ina-anticipate yung mga pwedeng sagot ng mga respondents. So parang fresh from the respondents view yung mga makukuha nating data. So respondents qualify the answers or emphasize the strength of their opinions. Kasi minsan, nagtanong tayo and then nag-click-click lang. So bahala, assist lang kung ano yung pagkakaintindi nung nag-i-interview. Okay, so halos pares lang ito sa mga papers. Okay, let me go to the disadvantages and advantages of the different collection techniques. So mapapansin niyo dito, there are pros and cons to each of these possible or rather ways of collecting data. Pero siyempre, depende pa rin sa kung ano gagawin niya. So yun, dun sa unang ginawa natin, di ba ang unang pinaka-advantage nung ginawa nyo when you collect your data using available information, hindi siya ganun kamahal. So you just have to search in the internet, you have already the data. So madali nating makuha yung trends over the past, just like what I asked you to do, di ba? Using this data, kumuha kayo ng trend, which most of you gave naman dun sa group report niya. The data may be difficult to access. Tulad ng isang grupo, di ba, namali ako. Akala ko, I was thinking na 2 years na yung COVID, wala pa pala noong February 2020. Naka-expect. Wait lang guys ha. Okay, sorry about the interruption guys. So, ang kagandahan dito, ang kagandahan din sa using available information aside sa inexpensive, madali din siya minsan kunin. Pero minsan, mahirap din siyang makuha. Just like what you got, madaling makuha kasi nasa internet. Pero may mga data na mahirap i-access. Kunwari yung mga kailangan nyo pa ng matitinding mga permit. Kunwari kailangan mo ng ano bang mga mahirap kunin. Kunwari about sensitive cases na mga ganyan. So medyo mahirap siyang i-access. So yun lang ang problema kapag available information na yung makuha natin. Ethnical issues concerning confidentiality may arise. Sabi dito, so about confidentiality. So usually kapag medyo secret yung mga information, mahirap na po. Pero kung hindi naman sila ganun kasikret tulad ng pinakuha ko sa inyo, madali lang kuhan. Wala pang bayad. Sa experimentation naman, observation, ang problema rin dito ay ang kagandahan dito is that makukuha natin siya based from the data itself. Yung parang makukuha natin, kumari nag-experiment ka, makukuha mo talaga kung ano yung sa exact phenomenon na yun. Ang problema naman dito, pwedeng mahal, magastos. Pwede rin yan. Kasi pag nag-experiment tayo, kailangan natin ng mga gamit. Okay? Sa privacy din, pwede rin. Kasi pag no, ang kailangan mong pag-obserbahan ay mga baliw, for example, or those that are mentally or may mga psychological disorders or mga bagay. So pag nag-observe tayo ng ganun, baka kailangan natin i-consider yung privacy at saka yung confidentiality. Okay, so ang problema din kapag yung non-participatory observation, kunwari tuloy sa mga social experiments, minsan na-influence nung nag-observe yung ino-observe. Ganun bagay. Okay, sa interview, ganun din. Ang problema naman sa interview, and same thing with questionnaire, actually, dapat kung kailangan natin ng question at sa interview, usually they need to have literates. Okay, mga input dapat marunong magbasa. Okay, kapag hindi, paano mo sila matatanong or mabibigyan ng mga tanong? Sa interview din, ito rin sinasabi dito, ang problema dito ay yung baka mahiya sa interviewer yung ini-interview. So medyo hindi magiging maganda yung results. They have to consider those mga bagay-bagay. So pwede rin kulang yung information na ma-report kasi baka nagpupan ka lang, nagsusulat lang dati, di ba? Makakulangin at ma-misinterpret pa no interviewer yung mga responses. Sa questionnaire naman, ganun din. Mapansin niyo dito, dapat unang-una marunong magbasa yung kukuha niyo ng data mo. Hindi mo gamit yung questionnaire. Okay? And then, dapat may extra training tayo sa research. Pero ito, pwedeng hindi naman. We'll just have to make it as simple as possible. Okay? So, yun ang mga pros and cons. But for now, we'll focus on the last part, which is making a questionnaire. Okay, so these are my references. Question, guys.